From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Fuel Fitness in Butte and Helena closed its doors this past weekend without warning customers or even employees. What workers and management saying just ahead.
I'm Joe St. George in Washington. Just how important will the issue of abortion be this midterm election? We travel to one of the most consequential battleground states in the country to find out, and we look at the data nationwide. Next.
But you know, when they're a young adult and they think they're invincible, you can't grab them by the hand anymore and drag them to get their flu shot.
Doctors urging everyone, even younger adults, to get a flu shot this year. At 6:49, find out why they say getting the shot more important this year than at any time in recent past. Happy Thursday, Southwest Montana, 6:30. Chelene and Matt Elwood with you here, working our way through this lovely fall week. I like the fact that it's cool, fall weather. Leaves are starting to change. We haven't had that hard frost yet, and there's been no snow in my yard.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of all that.
I know the other side of that. We've been banging this gong for a while. That means that we've not had a lot of rain.
True that.
And we do have the drought monitor numbers coming out a little later this morning. This evening, I'll share those with you as well.
Right.
So we'll see whether there's any headway been made. Temperatures this morning, chilly. Grab that jacket on the way out the door. We're not looking at anything significant moving in today. We do have a big cool down next week. Here's a look outside this morning. This is off the MSU campus. Our iCam there is beautiful outside this morning. Looks like the football team might be getting ready for a game.
There we go.
So I've heard. Temperature sitting into the low 60s for most of us for today. Does look like it's going to be pleasant for the weekend. We'll talk about the big changes on the way coming up in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. 6:32 now. Some employees and customers had an unpleasant surprise when they went to work out at Fuel Fitness in Butte. MTN's Caitlin Aguilas talks to one person directly involved, finds out what the owner is saying.
Employees and members of Fuel Fitness are left with more questions than answers when the facility was boarded up without warning.
What really hurts is we gave our time to a business that just decided to throw us out on the street and not give us any care.
Brecken Fitzpatrick worked for Fuel Fitness since May. He was a front desk attendant with 8 others and 2 new hires. When he received a text message from the general manager that the facility had been boarded up, he thought it was for the renovations that were supposed to take place around November to December.
Obviously wasn't. But I know we were doing a rebrand and everything like that too, but evidently Butte and Helena got thrown to the side.
Fitzpatrick was blindsided by the sudden closure, and members were left confused about what would happen with their membership payments.
In a 4-page statement, Michael Burks, the owner and CEO of Fuel Fitness, writes the facilities had to close due to financial losses. Burks alleges the Butte and Helena facilities were underperforming in numbers, and money was being stolen by a Butte employee. Burks writes that the closures would have been done years ago if not for the numbers being allegedly manipulated. Fitzpatrick says he will miss his job and the people he met along the way.
It's just hard. I loved my job. I loved meeting new people. I loved meeting everybody and hearing their stories, and it's crazy.
Fuel Fitness centers in Kalispell, Missoula, Billings, and Bozeman are still in operation.
In Butte, Caitlin Aguilas, MTN News.
6:34 now. The Montana Department of Public Health and Human Services says it's working on updating how it handles millions of dollars in child care funding. After an audit found the agency should do more to show the money is getting to the areas with the greatest need. MTN senior political reporter Jonathan Ambarian has a closer look at the findings.
Montana typically spends about $40 million a year in federal and state money on child care programs. On Wednesday, the Legislative Audit Division presented a breakdown on how those funds are distributed and made recommendations on how to improve the processes.
What the audit did do for us is challenge us, as audits often do, to think differently about the way we've always done things.
The Legislative Audit Committee got a report into Federal Child Care and Development Fund and state matching funds, and how Montana DPHHS allocates the money. More than half of that funding goes towards subsidies to help families afford care. Auditors said DPHHS does informally consider child care needs county by county, but they don't have an easy way of comparing and prioritizing which need is greatest. They recommended a full review of demographic information to give a better idea of where families might not be getting served. The audit also recommended the department add a step to its licensing process to check whether anyone on the Sexual or Violent Offender Registry is listed as living at the same address as a childcare provider. They found 3 childcare locations that match someone on the registry, though only one was active. Currently, providers state who's living at the address, and the state checks those names. DPHHS Director Charlie Brereton said the department would work to implement all the recommendations over the coming months, but they're already in the process of rechecking addresses along with the Department of Justice.
I understand that safety is paramount for parents as they select a child care provider, and we will not let this continue to happen. You have my word.
The $40 million figure is based on a typical year. State leaders say they've been able to direct much more money towards childcare recently, thanks to funding from programs like the federal American Rescue Plan Act. In Helena, Jonathan Amberian, MTN News.
In other news this morning, a hunter died near the Truman Gulch trailhead north of Bozeman. His body was found yesterday. Gallatin County Coroner's Office identified him as Joseph Raymond Balliet. Balliet, a former Montana state senator and had served in the Montana House as well. He was 65 with a birthday coming up on the 26th of October. Coroner says his death was from natural causes. 6:37 now. Abortion continues to be a hot topic as we approach the midterm elections. For the most part, Democratic candidates support a woman's right to choose, while Republicans support the issue being up to individual states and in many cases back new restrictions. So just how big of a role will the issue be this November? Joe St. George looking at what voters are already saying.
If you were at any rally this summer regarding abortion, you felt how powerful and personal the issue is for so many on both sides. But this election, just how important will the issue be? If you head to Madison, Wisconsin, a notoriously Democratic town and one of the most critical battleground states in the country, you get a sense of how top of mind the issue still is. Pasture and Plenty is a place that usually just sells food and drinks after the abortion ruling.
So right now we still have these shirts for Pink Out Week.
They started selling t-shirts and stickers advocating for women's rights. Patrons, they say, put them everywhere.
The back of pickup trucks, believe it or not.
In fact, these entrepreneurs decided to launch something known as Pink Out Week a few weeks back, a week in which a portion of proceeds from various restaurants goes to reproductive rights organizations. They tell us profits soared.
When Lauren texted, she said, "What are we going to do?" And I said, "We're going to do everything."
Our literal rights are at stake.
But this election enthusiasm is seen not just in merchandise, but in actual data. In Maricopa County, Arizona, a key county that makes up most voters in the state, in the weeks following the abortion decision, voter registrations by younger women who registered with the Democratic Party specifically increased compared to previous months. In Ohio, there was a 6.4 increase in female voters. In Kansas, in the week after the court's decision, more than 70% of newly registered voters were women.
Pro-lifers tend to be a little quieter.
Gracie Skogman is with Wisconsin's Right to Life. She says it would be a mistake to think Democrats are the only place fired up women are turning to. Conservative-leaning organizations like hers are seeing an increase too, especially with volunteers at crisis pregnancy centers, places that often encourage women to avoid an abortion.
People have so much enthusiasm for protecting life. Our pregnancy resource centers are seeing, in some cases, double the clientele. So we're talking about more volunteers than ever before.
The reality is we won't know until election night how big of an impact abortion will have. The economy remains the top issue on voters' minds. Any abortion restrictions at the national level are unlikely following this election. While some Republicans in Congress want new ones voted on if they take back control, President Biden has threatened vetoes. Democrats, meanwhile, are hoping for a few unexpected victories, so a vote to codify the right to an abortion nationwide can take place. In Madison, Wisconsin, I'm Joe St. George.
All right, 6:40 now. The nation's highest court says it will take up a case that could change the internet as we know it. Justices will consider part of a federal law known as Section 230, which protects internet companies from being sued over content posted by users. National correspondent Alex Miller takes a look at the case.
On the first day of the Supreme Court's new term, the justices are already making headlines, deciding to take up a challenge of the world's biggest tech giants.
There was an inevitability that the Supreme Court sooner or later would have to confront the scope of the immunity that Congress has granted to social media platforms.
The case could open companies like Google, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter up to lawsuits for what they allow users to post. Right now, they're protected by part of a 1996 law known as Section 230, which shields tech companies from being legally responsible for content published on their sites. That means no company is required to act on disturbing content.
Any way you look at it, I think this has enormous ramifications for the landscape of social media in our country, which has gone very heavily debated but relatively unregulated for decades.
There are two suits. The first, stemming from a 2015 terror attack in Paris, says Google recommended ISIS videos on YouTube to users, which in turn helped with recruitment numbers. ISIS carried out the attack that killed 130 people. The other criticizes Twitter for not taking down content relating to another terror attack in Turkey.
In one case, it's that Google did exercise judgment, but the family says it wasn't really editorial judgment. It's not entitled to the protection of the federal statute. In the other case, Twitter is accused of not doing enough to wipe out the terrorist materials and therefore shouldn't be entitled to the protection of the federal statute.
But this law became even more political in 2020. Twitter began flagging then-President Donald Trump's tweets, which led him to call for a repeal of Section 230 and issue an executive order to limit its protections. Trump lamented the law in the days after the election and even on January 6th as he spoke on the ellipse. President Joe Biden repealed the order when he got into office, but did raise questions about the law itself, taking issue with misinformation on these platforms. The CEOs leading these companies say repealing the law could hurt consumers.
Section 230 is the most important law protecting internet speech, and removing Section 230 will remove speech from the internet.
These companies and the public had indications the court could take up a case looking at Section 230. Justice Clarence Thomas said the court should weigh in back in 2020. The court will likely hear this case in early 2023, with a decision likely in late spring. Alex Miller, Newsy, New York.